Now, the push for reform of the UN Security Council, it's been a recurrent theme in global dialogues, considering that the UN structure dates back to the end of World War II. Now, the lone reform, that is an increase in the non-permanent membership from 6 to 10 members, happened during the Cold War. At the recent UN Security Council reforms event, the Council concluded that it is in urgent need of an overhaul and reconfiguration to be more representative, more effective, more coherent and more accountable. The UN accepted that this reform process has not yielded substantive results. Representing the global youth, India has been the strongest contender to take the initiative, to bring forward its perspective and efforts into pushing the much-needed reforms at the UNSC in the third decade of the 21st century. During G20 presidency, India took a step towards reforms by announcing the Delhi Declaration. It encompassed the inclusion of the African Union as a permanent member of the G20. The need to hear and recognize the concerns of the Global South in the group and the pursuit of inclusive and human-centric development. India's permanent representative to the United Nations spoke on the need for changes at the recent UNSC reform event, demanding similar changes which India has brought through its G20 presidency.
To fulfill this mission in our rapidly changing world, the Council must undergo transformative changes. It is time. It is time to move beyond the status quo and embrace a reformed UN Security Council that truly reflects the diversity and dynamism of the world it represents.
Now for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has gotten us all the details. Listen to this.
India has been actively advocating for reform at the United Nations Security Council for decades, calling for the expansion of permanent membership, which currently 5 countries hold, among other things. During the G20 summit, reform at major institutions and structures, including the Security Council, was featured prominently during discussions. Back in September, India's Prime Minister Modi called on member states during the G20 summit to make the Security Council reflective of current realities. And that was the same message shared here at the United Nations in New York on Wednesday during an event organized by India's mission to the UN representing L69 Group, which is a group of 32 countries in the Global South. They make a major bloc and they are united in the same goal, reform at the Security Council. The President of the General Assembly agreed with keynote speakers, including India's ambassador to the UN, that the United Nations is facing a crisis of credibility. And one of those reasons is because the UN Security Council and its composition reflects the power balance of a bygone century. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.